So we'll read this. So today's talk will be reading from volume 1 of Dr. KCV's works. It was a talk delivered at Hyderabad on All India Radio on 30 July 1967. The way of union with divine reality is called yoga. Rajayoga utilizes divine thought of the superfinest kind to bring about this union. Since thought is verily the sovereign fact about reality, this method is called Rajayoga. Patanjali's yoga implies this, but does not lay it out in clearest terms as it was intended to be imparted by the teacher or instructor. It also emphasizes only the suppression and control and the final eradication of human thought and its modifications. The most disturbing feature of the latter is its persistent disturbing nature. It has become the root cause and effect of tensions, emotional, intellectual, and physical. Man has been trying several recipes for getting rid of this stream of thoughts, which disturb his peace, and Rajayoga became one of them. Its main help was negative. But even this became difficult, for the human mind refuses to be suppressed or repressed. It is this that made for the positive approach of securing divine thought to affect it. The ancient yogis of the bygone past had known that this divine thought could be sought and brought down by appropriate means, through surrender to the Supreme God, who is the Guru of all mankind. No human effort of any kind could bring about this union or bring down the divine thought. God himself, or one who has already secured his connection or link or yoga with him alone, could do this. Human methods of approach have been in the main negative. They have firstly been wrong in the aspirations for a happy, earthly and economic life. They have moved to the opposite extreme of denying all earthly and social life. Renunciation or escape from life was counseled as a condition for securing the divinest thought. Mere knowledge as a quality of thought was also held to be sufficient. But the ancient discovery that it was the breath or life force, the prana or pranasepana, was not followed up. Therefore, it does not feature prominently in the later yogic systems, which consider prana or breath to be a variant of air or vayu, rather than the source and fountain of all life. God is existence, divine consciousness, and bliss. The method of securing and introducing it into the seeker after peace, relaxation, freedom from tensions, self-realization, and liberation was lost mainly because it was thought that the individual must evolve before this force could be introduced into his heart. Individual fitness alone determined the initiation or introduction of divine thought, or for securing this fitness. And for securing this fitness, adhikara. It was emphasized that several practices should be followed. While it was essential and obligatory to do them, it nevertheless became almost impossible, except for a select few, to attain such fitness or adhikara or arhata. In this manner, the original method of introducing divine life breath that makes possible spiritual evolution and emancipation got lost. And this also put Rajayoga beyond the reach of the common man and made it also appear to be a difficult, self-torturing process. In order to restore the supreme divine thought, which is also the divine life force, to its pristine position, some thinkers envisage the necessity to make a direct attempt to gain it through prayer and meditation on the traditional forms and patterns of religious worship. But it also fell into gross complexities. Purest surrender to God alone as the ultimate guru became clearly the only alternative. Such a prayer of mankind brings down the Godhead himself. The Rajayoga, which secures the divine descent into the seeker's heart, is natural and is without the efforts of human individual. It is the most beneficent, provided the aspiration is kept alive by constant remembrance of God. But all this was mostly theoretical or speculative and imaginary. During this century, a remarkable personality tried to secure this divine possibility and experiment on its potentialities. He showed that practically every human being can be made fit for the higher approaches by means of the divine thought itself, without introducing complexities and knots. Not only peace from mental confusion and riot of thoughts could be secured, but also even the divinization of man's nature could take place once this force is introduced into the seeker. The practical operation of the divine thought in man was simple, uncomplicated by rituals and learning, and even bereft of all that pass for devotional methods. The Guru who has secured this capacity to introduce divine thought life force into the heart of the seeker merely introduces this force, and the individual soul, awakened superconsciously to its destiny and union with the ultimate, begins to move upward and Godward. All the several methods became natural rather than artificial. The method of meditation or dhyana, which is essential to all yogas, is divinely operated, and the individual feels the transmission of divine life energy flowing into one's entire nature, physical, vital, mental, and harmony results as a consequence. The receptivity for this divine experience begins to grow more and more, and one experiences cosmic consciousness as well as divine consciousness. But this yoga does not base itself on any human need, nor does it trade in miracles. Natural divine condition or sahaja samadhi results in all activities, and one is, in the language of the Gita, established in the divine, sthita prajna, living and moving and having his being in the divine Godhead or the ultimate absolute. Most yogins cannot reach this condition in this worldly life, but in the real Rajayoga, renunciation is transformed into non-attachment and divinized. Family life and social obligations take on a divine harmonious nature, and peace is secured everywhere. Moderation becomes a vital principle in divine living. The ancient ideal of an ideal yogi as Grihastha gets realized in the simplest possible way. This is the discovery of the modern yogi, Sri Ramchandraji of Shahjahanpur, living today, and he has also perfected the method of initiation through divine thought, which takes over the entire spiritual voyage of the individual. But constant watch over the individual being necessary, one is naturally made to feel the living presence of God and be associated within throughout. Rajayoga in this sense is called natural and divine as contrasted to that which is in vogue. This is the cardinal principle of Sri Ramchandra's Rajayoga. Though modern man swears by human reason and by human values and tries to sublimate his instincts and break his tensions by faultless etiquette and good manners, we know how thin is the distinction between the modern civilized man and the savage barbarian. Culture of humanism demands the divine touch and life breath to change it into divine culture. But without securing God's grace and descent as the breath of our breath and life of our life, one can only be guided by ignorance and misery and anguish. All this leads to the inevitable necessity of securing God thought and God life breath through those who are in full possession of that force. This is the most important role of the spiritual guru in yoga. Our salvation depends on adopting Rajayoga of this divine kind. Then alone can the statement that all life is yoga that makes for well-being get verified and made the most significant method for higher evolution of man into divine nature.
Any questions, anyone?
Then previous this page, first para, it says destiny with union, the ultimate begins to move upward and Godward. Upward and Godward difference.
Equal?
That's
This is you can think in terms of grossness and subtleness.
okay.
So the Shobh which has brought out this manifestation moves from subtleness to grossness. And I think the seed, the banyan tree, is subtly present in the tiny seed actually. Then when it grows, it becomes a huge big banyan tree. In the same way, human being also, it is a 46 chromosome small, you can't see in the naked eye, but whole human personality with the thoughts, feelings, physical structure of the brain, heart, everything is potentially there. That's the subtlest form. And then we become a visible human being. So upward ka, that's why if you take the commentary on asana, he says why you have to withdraw. He says we have to go upwards. I mean, we have to, if you contemplate and meditate, you will understand. I mean,
So upward maybe
also towards the
subtler and
source.
Godward is subtlest.
Downward movement bole to towards manifestation,
Darkness.
towards pleasure seeking nature and all that. Normally our heart is inclined towards pleasure seeking tendencies only. That you can take it as downward, this thing. And when the divine impulse is transmitted by the trainer into the heart of the abhyasi, the soul is awakened, and the awakened soul will try to go back to its homeland. So it naturally wants to meditate regularly. It naturally wants to maintain the remembrance of God always like that, and naturally wants to practice the 10 commandments. The awakened soul inside you finds its own destiny, actually. That's why Sir was so very particular of the introduction and all that. He used to feel this person was not introduced properly and all that. So the trainer has to do a lot of preparation to purify himself so that his heart becomes free from all impurities. And then, so that's why in our system, the morality, the moral life is very important. Satya, Asteya, Aparigraha, Brahmacharya, unless purity is there, God cannot manifest in the heart. And the trainer can, if he has to infuse that pure divine consciousness into the heart of an abhyasi, he himself has to live in that state.
Thank you, sir.
That's why we have seen many of people who have been introduced properly. They're
Hmm.
They are able to sit for 1 hour very easily, routinely, they'll be able to practice. Long hours they can sit in meditation. So somebody else can read this article also, new interpretation practice.
Okay, I can read.
Yeah.
Okay. Raja Yoga, a new interpretation and practice. Raja Yoga is the name given to the yoga which utilizes the dhyana samadhi as the means to union with the divine. Yoga means union or connection of a thing with another. But in the mystical meaning, it means union or connection with God or the ultimate reality. The Ashtanga Yoga refers to the preparation for the yoga such as Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. The preparations are of the nature of control of the body, control of desires and instincts, and their contraries which produce contra or vicious habits. The control of mind in respect of the
Thoda
objects of desire.
slowly pado na. Thoda
Okay.
don't run
Okay.
so fast. We want to absorb the ideas also.
Okay. Okay.
It's not a
So I'll read from last
not a
line.
ritual which is we just want to finish the and then
Right.
we want to slowly try to absorb it also.
Correct. So the Ashtanga Yoga refers to the preparation for the yoga such as Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. The preparations are of the nature of control of the body, control of the desires and instincts, and their contraries, which produce contra or vicious habits, the control of the mind in respect of the objects of desire. For the mind has the nature of wandering from one object to the another, from one wish to another, or from pleasure to pain, and so on. Therefore, the first step in yoga is said to be control or restraint of mental modifications, which may well be described to be the real meaning of pratyahara. If the mind is given an object which will hold it, then the control of the mind is most easy. If not, it would wander. We see that Patanjali states the first definition of yoga as the control of mental modifications, that is yoga chitta vritti nirodha. But it is seen that it is not an exhaustive definition at all. It is true that this definition is given also in the Kathopanishada. Tanma yogamiti manyate sthiram indriya dharanam. The mind to hold the indriyas steadily without permitting them to run amok, even as the horses are being kept under rein, are obviously the first steps in yoga. The anga is called by the name of Angi, even as the body is named and designated by the individual who uses the name for the soul within the body. Thus, scholars have always linked up the two meanings of word yoga derived from yuja to connect, to yoke or control the senses, the mind and the ego or soul finally. Raja Yoga tried to link the individual with the divine or yoke it with the divine by means of thought, dhi, which is expounded in the Vedic Gayatri Mantra, Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Dhimahi is the expressive verb that has made the divine thought the force by which the union can be effected. This is known later as Suraji or solar Shabda, which is Vedic mantra. with which the ancient gurus used to initiate seekers after realization or yoga. Thus, one became a twice born, that is Dvija. It's a difficult concept.
Right.
Okay, I'll continue.
Yeah.
Revered Babuji Maharaj has propounded a purified and simplified version of ancient Rajayoga and has given a new method of initiation into the yoga that leads to ultimate realization or union with the ultimate, that is para, the true other. He calls his system Rajayoga because he utilizes the divine thought, that is Chit Shakti or Prana, for the purpose of bringing about union with the divine almost at the very start of the practice of yoga. This is much more important at the very start of the practice of yoga. This is much more important that the preliminary preparations which have tended to be made ends in themselves. Thus, the yamas, though basic and fundamental as the essentials of ethical conduct, have been made ends in themselves, and it was said that they are sufficient to make one attain liberation. As we know, the Upanishads also have said that they are preparation. Even for attaining perfection in them, the grace of God is necessary. Similarly, niyamas are observances which are really useful, but even here we know that the variations are many and the practice of the same is difficult without the grace of God. As for pranayama, as mere breathing exercises and technique of inspiration and retention and expiration, they hardly help anything more than cleansing of the nadis and breath pipes than the mind. Control exercise hardly leads to the higher levels of consciousness. The Raja Yoga that starts with dhyana places before itself the idea of the goal, which is firstly liberation from misery, secondly liberation from the cycle of birth and death, and thirdly, the most important of all, the union with the ultimate, which will bring about the other two as well. Thus, one aims at yoga by means of idea or goal fixing. This is the dharana kept before one's mind as will and purpose, the ideal of union with the ultimate reality. The second step would be to try by one's own efforts whether this could be attained. Though one knows the goal, what one wants, one does not know how to attain it. He has to get one who knows the goal or is a siddha and who knows also how to make others attain that. This is the Ishvara or God who is the Guru on the path. For he is the ever-attained Nitya Siddha and Sarvagya, that is all-knowing. God alone can be the real ultimate Guru. And to worship God as Guru is to make it possible to reach the goal more easily than if one considered God as the creator, sustainer, and destroyer, etc., of the universe, as the Vedanta says. For the Agama as for yoga, the Guru is absolute necessary, more so as it involves Kriya, that is practical training, which is not fulfilled fully by mere discussion, that is mere Bodha. Further, Once the Guru is chosen, one has to follow his directions, and this can only be known when the Guru works on the individual through the power of initiation or infilling him with the divine force, Chitta Shakti or Dhi or Prana, which alone makes everything live, move, and have being, and has restored physical, psychological, and spiritual growth and evolution. This has been one thing that has been lacking in all the forms of yoga propounded. The Yoga Sutras seems to be silent on this most important factor. Indeed, it is because the yoga has been left to be taught by those who could not or did not have the power or ability or sanction and permission of the divine to do it, or has been left to the individual's own efforts or self-effort. It has not been able to fulfill even the initial attainment of the samadhi or dhyana meditation itself. Concentration, of course, had become a strenuous, nerve-wracking task. So Master counsels that the first thing in yoga is to get the process started with being connected with the divine by the introduction into the heart of the divine thought, breath, even like an offering into the fire of aspiration of the heart. This principle has been called by him pranahuti, which is breath or life offering. This means that the yoga starts with yoga and culminates in the realization of the ultimate reality consciousness with the help of the same. Thus, Guru comes early and stays till the final step is attained. By God force, God union is attained, or simply God is the means, which is upaya. Sadhaka, sadhana, and siddhi are all God in the form of the Guru. The Yoga Sutras hardly reveal this role except under the niyama as Ishvara Pranidhana and the nature of the Ishvara. Of course, if we wish to see more, the name Patanjali, one whose Anjali is to surrender, is to fall down at the feet of the Ishvara, that is his Mudranama. The Agamas have insisted upon this aspect of the Guru and Kriya, and no wonder the Sankhya was also known as Agama Shastra. The third step on this path of Raja Yoga is to gain the transmission of the divine thought force or prana, that is pranasya prana of the Upanishad, into the heart where the meditation should be directed. In yogas, many persons counsel the meditation at the Nasikagra or Bhrumadhya. According to revered Babuji Maharaj, the meditation is most efficacious when it is made on the heart, wherein alone the transmission is made, and also because it is said to be the place of Ishvara in the human body. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hrideshi tisthati. The meditation is an effortless observation of the inflow of the divine force or prana from the divine master or the preceptor who is Siddha in this regard. A Siddha is not one who is possessed of all the miraculous powers which come to every practicant when he performs samyama, that is concentric control, over the element or plane or time or space, etc. A siddhi is the attainment of the goal. Here, the goal of yoga kriya is attainment of the union with the ultimate reality. Thus, meditation on the heart leads to the natural power of concentration when one begins to perceive the flow of the divine prana within oneself. The fourth point is that the prana introduced into the system by the process of transmission also cleans and loosens the entire system of all tied up conditions. The Guru has to clean the adhara of all dirt, perceived astrally as black spots, and make them leave the system. This leads to the feeling of lightness and clearness and calmness. The second process is that it also prevents the entry into the system of all dirt and heavy thought of the lower level. The purification, that is Shuddhi of the system, is attained with the help of this transmission to which must wholly surrender oneself. Lightness, detensioning of the entire system of mind, the loosening of the knots of attachment, Viveka, Vairagya, Uparati, Titiksha, and Shraddha naturally result, and one gets established in the Sattvaika Buddhi, which is characterized by Jnana, Shakti, Vairagya, and Ishwaratva. One begins to grow into the condition of the Guru, the divine. The Yoga Sutras hardly mention any knots or granthis, and Shata Chakra theory is not mentioned in it. The Tantras, however, speak about it. The Upanishads also mention the Hridaya Granthi, the knot of the heart, which has more often been interpreted symbolically as referring to the attachment or desire for objects of sense and pleasure. Babuji Maharaj affirms that there are knots which are really batteries of power, or brackets which have been useful in the materialization and grossening of the force and led to solid condition. These have to be now reversed in their functions and help us to become more subtle and receptive to the divine force and lead to nivrutti, the return to the primal condition of Kshobha, that is the first thought force stir. Instead of the spiritual chakras, the tantrikas had concentrated on perfecting the siddhi or miracle potential chakras, and so the progress on the spiritual path has been most illusory. Therefore, the concentration or meditation, that is samyama, on the Seta chakras had led to degenerate developments in the direction of power mongering and miracle mongering siddhis. The Yoga Sutras have definitely ruled out the siddhi path if one wishes for yoga or real union with the ultimate. And attainment of liberation or freedom from all materiality, however subtle up to the limit of Prakriti Laya or Avyakta Pradhana or Triguni. Further, the chakras are all placed in the spinal cord or Veena Danda, visible to the astral vision, whereas the knots as discovered by Master are outside it and of course visible to the astral vision developed by the Pranahuti transmission. The fundamental knots are those which start with the heart, which is physical heart. On the left side of the chest, the location is given by the Master. And moving to the right side, just below the right nipple, we have the second knot. This is what is called Atma point. The points further enumerated are the points of devotion, the point of fire, and the point of Vayu, near the throat corresponding to Vishuddha or Tantrikas. Revered Babuji Maharaj enumerates 13 points in his work, Ananta Ki Aur, which is towards infinity, which covers the knots in the heart region mind region, and central regions. He mentions another set of points numbering 9 in 3 rows of 3 each, near the sacral region, which govern the desires, passions, and thoughts pertaining to sex. In addition, he has also shown that the Kundalini is not as important for spiritual purposes as it is for miracle powers and material powers. This is very important because the dangers inherent in rousing the Kundalini from below, that is Muladhara, are great and in fact impede rather than increase the spiritual. This view is confirmed by Gurdjieff Ouspensky school also, who call Kundalini Kunda buffer. But revered Babuji Maharaj shows that the awakening of the Kundalini from above happens when the aspirant Abhyasi reaches a level in the mind region like the Sahasrara. The Samadhi state in the real yoga of this type is always naturally induced and is equivalent to the thoughtless condition. It is always sahaja, natural, and comes about naturally during dhyana. These are not the extraordinary manifestations incidental to the samadhi induced by means of self-effort. It is a gift of the divine or guru and does not produce any abnormal physical or physiological processes. The samadhi is asampragyata, the higher condition than the sampragyata. And it is not sleep or a simulacrum of it, but the yogic prajna and the yogic turiya conditions. In fact, one goes beyond prakriti laya to the laya with the self or the ultimate reality, which is beyond the turiya and turiyatita. The spiritual condition resulting from this attainment is inexpressible peace, shanti, that goes beyond all mere cessations, beyond all that go by the name of experience even. Most properly, one reaches the dawn of reality, the original root condition, beyond thought, force, prana. The Prashna Upanishad has mentioned this condition of Prajapati as the person who brought out prana and rai. But Master calls this Bhuma the ultimate state of which all other states are bhumikas or lesser states of consciousness, the lowest being the personal individuated limited consciousness, and below it the unconscious and subconscious. Reality consciousness can only be arrived at when one goes beyond thought, that is thought consciousness or truth. This is the goal and the perfection which man aims at, whether it is in Vedanta or yoga. But it is clear that without yoga, there is no verification of the Vedanta, which yearns after just jnana, which is a category of thought. The liberation is possible only when one reaches this reality center, though many consider that liberation can be of grades or only when one gives up this body, or rather all bodies, physical, astral, mental, and prakritic, and not when one is yet remaining in the body. The Jivan Mukti theory speaks about the release from sense of bondage, though the prior effects of karma would hold on the body till the exhaustion or bhoga takes place. According to revered Babuji Maharaj, the prarabdha and sanchita karmas could be enjoyed even when going through the process of yogic union through transmission, as they get destroyed, even as it is said that they get destroyed by Jnanagni in the Gita. The thought pranic force destroys them by bringing them to bhoga in a variety of ways and cleans the system completely. So much so that the real Jivan Mukti, living freedom or freedom even within this body, can be enjoyed through the divine grace. The pranasya prana, that is pranahuti, indeed makes it possible for man to experience yogically the ultimate even when having this body. For there are subtlest points or knots within the body which have not yet been roused into correspondential elimination action by the other yogas, which have not been able to have a firm grip over the heart and psychophysical organism. Their pessimism had led to the abandonment of any effort to discover the real correspondential relation between the Pinda and the Brahmanda and the center of reality. The mystic truth to which reference has already been made affirms that the structure of the atom or cell is repeated directly and inversely in the cosmos and supercosmos, as also in the living reality. Babuji Maharaj's research and painstaking exploration of the untraversed domain of psychophysical parallelism and correspondential interrelationships between the supercosmos, cosmos, and the human organism and the atom reveals a range of possibilities of this transmissional yogic power of the ultimate prana, that is Chitta Shakti. These are some of the most important modifications made by revered Babuji Maharaj, which is not only instructive, but also has opened up some of the lost tracks of yoga, which the rishis knew and acted and lived by. I was not aware that this process of initiation is not documented anywhere before in Vedanta. और पीछे शायद you can search for initiation if possible. Yoga Sutras seem to be silent on this most important factor of initiation.
तो initiation word कहाँ है ये ना
ये ऊपर है.
कहाँ है
See,
हाँ
the power of
Further-
initiation or infilling him with the divine force which alone makes everything live,
through the
move,
power
and
of initiation
uh,
through
the
the
same-
power of initiation infilling with the divine force which alone makes everything live
Next line says, the next line,
हाँ.
the Yoga
Yoga
Sutras.
Sutras में they didn't mention about this pranahuti नहीं है
Correct. That's I
Guru
was
and
not.
Shishya linkage नहीं है उसमें
Hmm.
उसमें he directly talks about Ishvara Om. You
Hmm.
can meditate on Om. You can meditate on the Guru. This thing, Vitaraga Vishyam Vachittam. You can take up any guru like Buddha or Vivekananda or whatever, and then meditate on their personality, on their heart actually, or specifically on their nature of Vairagya. And if you contemplate on the nature of the Guru's state of Vairagya or whatever, your mind also becomes, and then it becomes fit enough to meditate. So, ये initiation, just like a transmitting the divine impulse from heart to heart, not mentioned in Yoga, Patanjali Yoga Sutras, in Vedanta also, that's what he says. Upanayanam kare to that is a kind of initiation, but how many people after initiation have their, after Upanayam ceremony, is their mind spontaneously naturally is thinking about God. It is more of a ritual actually.
Yeah.
Ours is real initiation, where people would naturally like to get up in the morning and do meditation, which is that means the divine impulse has awakened the soul inside you, and then you feel like thinking about God naturally without much struggle.
Mm.
Whereas Upanayan ceremony, which is done, which is a kind of initiation, is more of a ritual, and it doesn't produce the
Mm.
desired results.
Upanayan is an external process where the
Actual
Bija
meaning is
mantra is given.
Actually, meaning is the father or
The
who
Guru.
is himself in a state of Sita Prajna, or he is himself connected to God. He will put it into the ear, the mantra actually, and that should penetrate into the heart, and then that initiation should take place. उतना कैपेसिटी किसको है आजकल?
दोनों को नहीं है.
So it's more of a ritual.
Mm.
And you believe that you are more sacred than others, then ego develops, and then your path to reality is closed.
Correct.
Okay, any questions on this? Otherwise we'll...
Sir, I don't know this person, Guru the Jeff
Gurdjieff.
Ouspensky.
Gurdjieff is a famous Russian mystic. He's very
Okay.
famous. He was an orphan at the age of 7 years. He lost both his parents. He on his own developed, and one of his most famous disciples is Ouspensky. Later on, he developed. He could not withstand the discipline of this thing, and he leaves him actually. But Ouspensky wrote very influential book called "In Search of the Miraculous." It's free audio book is available on YouTube. It's brilliant. I mean, Gurdjieff is very famous. I mean, but he would use all possible methods to drive you away from him. Unless he realizes that you're really serious in meditation, then only he'll accept to train you. Extremely tough taskmaster. He is a very famous Russian mystic during the First World War time.
Yeah, in this article also, Dr. K.C.Varadachari did not mention beyond the not 5 to not 13 or 10. I think he has just briefed about it, but it's okay. He has mentioned from 1 to 5 and then directly referred to 13 points.
Just one question, sir. Is here refers to the real Babuji enumerates 13 points in his work, Anand Cure, which covers heart region, mind region, and central regions.
Yes.
After that, he mentions another set of points
वो
numbering.
पीछे spinal cord में back में है.
Okay.
Those 19 points actually. Sir showed me the photograph. पहले trainers manual में था that people who are in the central region and all, they can वो points पे if you apply your willpower, a person who is suffering from alcohol addiction or sex addiction, instantly it can be cured actually. So that's not much dwelt upon. But Babuji and Sir Dr. KCV left it for future research actually. There are 9 points in the lower back region. They are there. Actually, Sir actually told me a technique to help a person who is suffering from alcoholism. He says if you do that, he will overcome that habit and all. But he told me that the person should have some belief in you. If he doesn't have belief in you, it doesn't matter, but he should have at least accept Babuji as some trust in Babuji. Then you can apply this method, you'll be free from this thing. So those are areas for future research. But for that, your mind, that is only possible when you develop the capacity called samyama. Samyama is dharana, dhyana, samadhi. You become expert in meditation. So wherever you focus your attention, your mind, it becomes like a prison. And then you get the complete knowledge of the object which you are trying to understand through concentration. That's called samyama. Like when we were trying, myself and Dr. Janardhan Reddy were involved in the project of translating this original Urdu manuscripts of 10 Commandments. Every day afternoon, we used to meet in Sir's place. And then when we had any doubt, we wanted to understand first before attempting the translation English and all that. So when he had any doubt, he would just close his eyes. He would do samyama, and then you used to go to the board and explain the whole thing actually. So you should become a master in, that means mind should be totally under your control. I mean, you know, you are a master of your mind, then only you can do samyama. And with samyama, you can do research. Before that, it's premature. It would be your imagination.
Thank you.
Okay, then we'll meet next.